When we talk about investing in a franchise, you can have all the business acumen, you can have the capital, but if you don't show the characteristics that franchisors are looking for, odds are they're not going to allow you to become a franchise partner. And people think that everybody gets approved as a franchise partner, and that's just not the case. They're going to take a serious look at you to ensure that you have these characteristics, the things that they're looking for to make sure that you're going to be a good long-time partner.
Welcome to the Hire Yourself Podcast, the show for senior level executives who are done renting their income and are ready to take control of their future.
My name is Gilfillan. I spent decades in the corporate America
Before hiring myself, becoming an entrepreneur, best-selling author, and a franchise consultant. Now I help others stop relying on one paycheck, one job, and one boardroom decision. If you're ready to take control of your destiny, to build wealth, and to live life on your own terms, then you're in the right place.
Welcome to the Hire Yourself Podcast. My name is Gilfillan. I am a franchise consultant, and I'm always here helping people learn about franchising. And today what I'd like to talk about is what franchisors are looking for in franchise partners. You see, I can be a senior level executive. I can have lots of capital, but that doesn't mean I can automatically just invest in a franchise. It doesn't work that way. You see, a franchise is a partnership. You're partnering with a franchise company. And believe it or not, the franchise companies are very picky about who they want to be their franchise partners because this is a 10-year partnership. This is about the relationship. So many people think because they're investing in a franchise, they're the only ones making the decision. Well, there's nothing further from the truth. It takes two to form a partnership. So what we're going to talk about today is what are franchise companies looking for in franchise partners? So number one that they're looking for is, are you coachable? Are you trainable? Are you willing to follow a system? And I know this sounds pretty basic, and it all starts with as you investigate franchises, franchise companies are going to take you through a process to evaluate the franchises. And if you can't follow that system, chances are you probably can't follow the franchise system. And we know that a lot of times the success of a franchise owner is based on their ability to follow a system. So franchisors are going to want to know that you can follow a system because that is a big predictor of the future success of a franchise partner. So that's a big one. And it is like what I say is that when people don't succeed in franchises, many times is because they think they're smarter than the franchise system. So we always follow the franchise system, the model. We can always make it better, but at a minimum, we follow it. Number two, I think, is really important what franchises are looking for is, do you have the people skills? Do you have the leadership management skills, right? They're looking for leaders because you're leading a business, right? You're hiring, you're training, you're continuing to retrain people, you're inspiring an organization. And so you have to have those leadership skills. And bottom line is that you got to be that leader because it's your business. You can have the best franchise in the system, but if you're not leading people, and engagement with employees is important. Now, you may have a business where you are leading the managers and the managers are managing the employees, but at the end of the day, you're still leading an organization. You're leading those managers, the key leadership team. And this is important to franchisors because you have to be able to lead as a franchise partner. Financial stability and kind of being able to have the capital necessary to launch the business and sustain the business is really important. So franchisors are going to want to make sure that you have the capital necessary to be successful. And this can be the capitalization of the business, the working capital, buying the equipment or building out the facility. But it is also capital to kind of cover your living expenses while you are launching the business. And sometimes you can keep your corporate job and start the franchise on the side, but they're going to still want to know that you have enough capital because the last thing that you want to happen is that you run out of capital as you're launching the business. And that's one of the key factors in terms of franchises failing is that you run out of capital because if you don't have capital, that's the lifeblood of the business and you are done. So bottom line is that franchises are going to take some time to make sure that you are well capitalized as you go into this. The other characteristic a franchisor is looking for is that this long-term commitment, a growth mindset. They're not looking for somebody that wants to come in and start the business and flip it in a year. They're looking for somebody that can build a business. They can grow it. They can have this idea of building something in their community. And this isn't a passive kind of deal. They know that you have to be involved for a business to be successful. They're looking for somebody that can commit. This is a 10-year partnership. And yeah, maybe after 6 years you want to sell it, but they're not looking for somebody that they want to make a short-term gain. I want to build it and sell it real quick and make lots of money. It doesn't work that way. They're looking for a long-term partner. And when we talk about this idea of what franchises are looking for, another key one is they're looking for cultural alignment and brand representation. You see, when you invest in a franchise, you're representing that brand in your community. You are the one that is the culture of the organization of that franchise system within wherever your territory or location is. And this is really important to franchisors, that when you walk into your franchise in Naperville, Illinois, or Springfield, Illinois, wherever it may be, bottom line is they want it to feel like all the other franchises, that it's kind of aligned with the culture of the organization. I was just at a rest stop. It was Love's. Every time we stopped off there, when we walked in, the employee at the cashiers greeted, "Welcome to Love's." And that was part of their culture. So if I am a franchise owner of Love's, and I'm not saying Love's is a franchise, but this idea is that they welcome every guest the same way. That's the culture. That's the feel of that business. Franchisors, their culture, they're going to want you to be able to do that. The other characteristics that franchises are looking for in a franchise partner is, do you have the sales, the business acumen, and the ability to connect with people in your community? This is really important. And it doesn't mean that you have to do door-to-door sales or cold calling, but you have to be comfortable telling people about how your business can help solve their needs and wants, right? So this is about building relationships in your community. It's about being able to have conversations with people. Again, we're not talking about hardcore sales, but they want somebody that is very comfortable talking to people, building relationships, because business is about relationships, and this will be very important to them. And it starts with your relationship you're building with the leadership team of the franchise company, right? If you can connect with them, you can hold a conversation, you can, build that relationship, that's a pretty good sign that you'll be a good franchisee. And then certainly another characteristics they're looking for is resiliency, accountability, emotional execution. You see, they want to know that you're going to be resilient, that you're going to be hardworking, and you're going to be accountable. Because when you're a business owner, it doesn't matter the franchise business model. There are going to be issues, and you're going to have to work through those issues, and you're going to have to solve those problems. It's not perfect. Things happen. And as a business owner, you got to solve problems. And so franchisors want to know that you're resilient, that you can solve problems. You can kind of work through whatever comes your way. It's just, that's the reality of it, is that you have to work through it. So at the end of the day, when we talk about investing in a franchise, you can have all the business acumen, you can have the capital, but if you don't show the characteristics that franchisors are looking for, odds are they're not going to allow you to become a franchise partner. And people think that everybody gets approved as a franchise partner, and that's just not the case. They're going to take a serious look at you to ensure that you have these characteristics, the things that they're looking for, to make sure that you're going to be a good long-time partner. So if you're thinking about investing in a franchise, I encourage you to take 15 minutes, schedule a call with me, tell me a little bit more about your situation. I'll tell you about my free franchise consulting services, how I can help you explore franchises. I always encourage you to subscribe, follow my podcast. I am here for you.